Thank you, ladies, for having me. My name is Roger Conley. I'm a candidate for the House of Delegates out of District 10. I'm a lifelong resident of Wood County, married to my wife, Catherine, for 45 years now. My wife and I have 3 adult children, and we have 6 grandchildren. I'm the owner and operator of Conley Fabrication here in Wood County, and I appreciate you having me.
We're glad to have you, and welcome to everyone. This is the Mid-Ohio Valley Public Forum video podcast. This podcast will feature issues of interest to the residents of the Mid-Ohio Valley area. The coronavirus pandemic has changed civic life greatly throughout our country.
And this is an election year. So one of the changes is that candidates have not been able to get out and campaign the way they normally would. Generally, this time of year, they'd be out knocking on doors, going to fairs and festivals, meeting and greeting voters, and shaking hands. You can't do that now.
Nope. So many of our initial podcasts will feature candidates for local and state office. We focused on people who are going to be decided on in the primary. We hope to interview more folk in the lead up to the general election. If you're a candidate and you want to be interviewed, you can contact us through our Facebook page, that's MOV Public Forum, or via email, that's movpublicforum@gmail.com.
And he has already introduced himself a little, but this is Roger Conley. He's running for the House of Delegates, West Virginia, District 10. Welcome, Roger. We're glad you could
make ladies. Appreciate
time to talk to us this afternoon.
Well, we've heard your introduction, and so we know a little bit about you. So we'll go on into our questions.
Perfect.
So, Roger, all candidates are different. They have different experiences, different knowledge bases, different perceptions, skills, background. So tell us about you and what makes you a good candidate for District 10.
Well, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, I am a small business owner here in Wood County. I'm also a member of the Vienna City Council. I am the chairman of the Wood County Republican Executive Committee, and I'm also a member of the West Virginia Republican Executive Committee. So I think I have unique qualifications in as much as I can bring to the table a common sense business approach, but at the same time, I have enough general knowledge of how the government works to mesh the two of those together and be able to provide the citizens and the constituents the voice that they need in Charleston. I bring a proven voting record as a councilman for Vienna, a record of being able to fight to reduce costs, to cut spending, to increase efficiencies. I have a proven record of working to cut and or reduce fees that I do not feel is warranted. And it's those same issues that I think is so important to all of our constituents that I will be able to bring to the legislature in Charleston.
So what would you say is your main motivation that made you decide to step up and run for House of Delegates this time?
Well, I think we need more people in Charleston who have signed the front sides of more checks than they have the back sides of the checks. I think we need more people in Charleston that have worked to create their own budgets as in a business, and that they understand that once you create that budget, that you have to work within the budget. I firmly believe that we need more people in Charleston that realize that once that state budget has been created, that the monies have to be spent accordingly, that we need to spend the money as legislatures the same as we would if it was our own personal money. And I think that's something that gets lost a lot of times on a lot of the political entities throughout, not just the state, but our country.
Mm-hmm. Well, you may have kind of answered my next question. which is, what is your wow factor? What's the one thing about you that would make a voter say, wow, I'm going to vote for that guy?
Well, you know, and you're right, I did answer some of that, but I will add this, that, you know, we often hear politicians talk about job creation. And in all reality, most of the time, they've never created a job in their lives and probably never will. As a business owner for many years, I've created a lot of jobs, and the good Lord's willing, I'll continue to create jobs. So job creation, which goes hand in hand with stimulating our economy, those job creations is not something that I talk about. It's something that I do every day.
Tell us the one thing you want to prioritize to accomplish during your term in office if you're elected.
I don't think Wood County gets enough attention from Charleston. That's one of my big pet peeves. Whether it be roads, infrastructure, and I'll just use this as an example. If you're driving from Charleston toward Parkersburg and you enter Wood County, the first exit you come to is Rockport exit. You get off at that Rockport exit, there's not really anything there. You go on to Mineral Wells and get off, you've got adequate motels, you've got a couple fast foods and a restaurant. You go to the next exit, you've got Staunton Avenue. There's not much there. If you go to the next exit, I'm sorry, I forgot Camden Avenue. Don't want to do that. But still, again, at Camden Avenue, we don't have a whole lot. But you go past Camden Avenue, you go past Staunton Avenue, then you really get to my pet peeve. We come to the Route 50 interchange and the big sign that says downtown Parkersburg. Well, downtown Parkersburg, when you get off at that exit, should be the apple of your eye, but it's the eyesore. When that interchange went through there, so many businesses lost the business. The road took them out. Numerous jobs were lost. That interchange is just an absolute disaster. The buildings are dilapidated. The windows are covered up, plywooded over. The ones that are still open, you drive a half a mile, you make a U-turn, and you come back. That whole intersection, and I have talked to the governor, I have talked to all of our legislatures, and I have talked to our highway superintendent about that interchange. I want that interchange to be reworked. I want to get it back to where we can get some businesses back in that Route 50 interchange. You know, a perfect example, one of the things when you get off there that you look at on the right-hand side is a park and ride. But there again, you got to drive a half a mile, make a U-turn to get back to it. You know, that's not a revenue producer of any shape, size, or form. However, if it was easily accessible, and I'm just throwing out the name of a business, you could have a Sheetz there. You could have something that creates jobs. Then all of a sudden, you've got something that instead of just being part of the eyesore, is something that produces revenue. And I can go on and on and on, but Wood County needs more representation. Wood County needs more of a voice out of Charleston to fix some of these issues that we have that can help to stimulate our economy and create a lot of jobs.
Well, Roger, state legislatures can be incubators for new policies and novel solutions to problems. Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis once said, quote, "A single courageous state may, if its citizens choose, serve as a laboratory and try novel social and economic experiments without risk to the rest of the country," unquote. Are there any novel experiments that you would like to try if you're elected, aside from anything you may have already mentioned?
Well, yeah, I think one of the things, and this goes, this touches on education. As a business owner, and the business that I own is a manufacturing business. And sometimes it's very difficult for me to hire welders. I think our education system needs to be focusing a whole lot more on the trades than necessarily somebody everybody that's going to college, not everybody can be a doctor, not everybody can be a lawyer or an MBA, but some might want to be welders, plumbers, electricians, carpenters. These are all very well respected and well paying jobs. I think we need to put a whole lot more emphasis as counselors in our schools on this type of upper education. And I think we should look at a way to keep these kids in state once they graduate, whether it's a doctor or a nurse or a welder. And, one of my thought processes would be that we have some sort of an incentive to help offset the student loans, in which the student would agree to stay in state, live in state, and work in state for a period of time. While they're working in state and living in state, we would make that payment for them. If they move out of state, if they quit working in state, then those loans stop, the payments stop, they take it from themselves. But I think I really am passionate about the fact that the trades need a whole lot more attention. I think in the years to come, there's going to be an extreme shortage of those. And as we look at our area as potential oil and gas, I think is going to be a big thing. If we ever get a storage hub, if we ever get a cracker plant, those trades are going to be critical. And right now, we're just not ready to supply those types of jobs to our community. And I think that's someplace that we can do better.
Well, we've talked about several issues. What do you see as the next 3 largest issues facing West Virginia? And give us your nutshell plan for how to deal with them.
Well, and those kind of go hand in hand with some of the things that I've already talked about. I'm very comfortable and sure, unfortunately, that it's just not West Virginia, but all of our states. We're going to be looking at budget shortfalls, and we need roads, we need infrastructure. Those are the 3 things. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the budget shortfalls. And we hear from a lot of our government people, not just statewide, but also locally, yeah, we're looking at budget shortfalls, but the federal government's going to step in and put up the money to fill the gap and offset the revenue shortages. I've got a problem with that. That needs to be the last resort, not the first resort. We're in a situation right now because of those shortfalls. We need to be tightening our belts. It's not just the individuals like my household and your household or my business, but it's our municipalities, our cities, our counties, our states. They need to be tightening their belts. They need to look at ways to cut costs and reduce the spending. If the government puts money into these municipalities, states, whatever it happens to be, you and I are paying for that. It's not free. You just don't pick it off of a tree. We have deficits right now that, we just will not even talk about it because it's going to be here for a long, long, long time. But if the government then needs to step in and help offset some of that revenue shortages, so be it. But that's the last thing that we look at, not the first thing we look at. If we do that, the gap that the government, which is you and me, has to fill is going to be a whole lot smaller.
So, Roger, we are often our own harshest critics. So I've got a 2-part question for you. What do you see as your worst quality, and what do you see as your best quality?
Well, as far as the worst, I sometimes I'm a little bit impatient. I'm probably sometimes too much of a perfectionist. I probably expect a whole lot more out of myself than what other people do. But as far as the positive side, I think it's leadership ability, leadership skills. I've been in leadership positions most of my adult life for many decades. So, I understand that a leadership position is not, it's my way or the highway. It's, talking together to find a solution and looking for a better way. And, that's something that I pride myself in. I don't know everything. I don't express that I know everything. I'm smart enough to know that I don't know everything, and I need to pull the people in to help me that can.
Well, with that, we will go into our next section. These questions are just to get to know you, the person, not necessarily you, the candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Our state's beautiful, and we have a lot going for it. What's your single most favorite thing or place in our state? And not the people. We all love West Virginians, but
Absolutely.
they're not a thing or a place.
For me, that's easy. It's the mountains. I love the mountains of West Virginia. I think the mountains of West Virginia is the most beautiful place in our country, and when you go into the mountains, you see the streams running, you see the people trout fishing. I mean, to me, that's just picturesque. I mean, that's just a great place to be. It's a place to go, and you can just pretty much forget about all of your troubles, and it's surreal.
So, Roger, what are your own personal core values?
In God we trust. We need to get back to that. I think we need to get back to having God in our schools. We need to get back to being able to have prayer in our schools. I think that's something that unfortunately we have we've been losing, and we're continuing to lose. And I think for this nation to survive and to thrive, we need to get back to it.
What would you say you as a person, not the candidate, are most passionate about?
Well, and it kind of goes along with the last question, a couple different things. My faith, and my family. There's absolutely no question about that. That's where my passion lays.
So, what do you enjoy doing in your off time?
I don't have a lot of that.
I don't either.
I stay pretty busy. I don't have a whole lot of off time, but no question, my favorite thing to do in my off time is to spend time with my family and my grandkids. There's nothing like those grandkids. You can spoil them and you can send them back home to mom and dad, and I love spending time with my grandkids.
So what would you say is most unique about you? What surprises people when they learn it about you?
Well, would you repeat that question, please?
Sure. What's most unique about you?
Well,
another way to ask it is, what surprises people when they learn this about you?
Well, I don't know that there's anything that unique about me, and maybe that's the answer. There's nothing real. I'm pretty much an open book. There's nothing surprising much about me. Most people who know me know that I'm pretty straight shooter. I say what I think, and I don't straddle a fence. I will work diligently on any project that I'm involved in. I'll work diligently, as I have with the city of Vienna. And that's one thing that I would say, that, as a candidate for this legislature, if I'm fortunate enough to get that position, I guess I'm probably pretty much of a workaholic. Nobody's going to outwork me. And this is kind of a cliche that, you hear candidates say that, well, I'll be a voice for the citizens in Charleston. Well, there again, that's not something that I just talk about. That's something that I have a proven track record as a councilman in Vienna, standing up for the people and fighting for what I believe is right. And that's something that I'll continue to do.
Well, with that, we've come to the end of our questions. This is the time we like to give you a few minutes to tell us and the voters anything you think we've missed or that you feel like we need to know, including how to get in touch with you, how to get more information on your campaign, how to get involved, donate, etc.
Easy to get a hold of me. My email address is very easy. Like I say, my company is Conley Fabrication. My email address is roger@conleyfab.com. conley.com. I am also on Facebook, and my cell number, I've always got my cell phone with me. My cell number is 30448. I'm sorry, back up. That's the wrong number. 304-991-8899. I was about to give you my wife's cell number. She might not have liked that. But in all seriousness, this is something that I take very serious. I think we need more representation from Wood County in Charleston. That's something that I'm prepared to bring. That's something that I'm prepared to work diligently to do. That's something that I will do if you'll honor me with your vote, and I'm asking for your vote on June the 9th, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Roger. We appreciate you taking the time to do the interview today. And we want to remind everyone, wash your hands. Thank you.